Hey YouTube. Today I'm working on a CNC machine that I bought quite a while back, and I had issues with the motherboard. Actually, overall, pretty much I had problems. Think of it as like the Ender 3 and all the 3D printers are kind of like 4th, 5th generation, so they've actually fine-tuned a huge amount of stuff with 3D printing, and it's pretty much awesome in that sense. And there's obviously better models. CNC is completely different. There's not actually it's starting to get better, but basically it's a very sort of cumbersome system. There's not much out there. It's reasonably expensive. So what I did is actually bought a CNC 3018, and I have done some upgrades. One of the things that I actually did is on the motherboard. I bought a motherboard and a 3.5 inch, I think it's called a TS35. And what's really cool about this motherboard is you can actually see that it actually has an SD card. It's a bit hard to see, but it's got an SD card, it's got a screen, and it's got Wi-Fi, and it actually has a web interface. So what that means is you can actually go to the website, you can actually look on the screen, tell it what IP address it has, and log on to the web interface and tell you what the how to actually access it and control it, which is really cool. The updates to that application and all that is really quite easy. It's through GitHub, like pretty much everything, and it's pretty user friendly, and the web interface is really interactive. There is a config file you can upload with all the settings. So what I did is use the USB, got all the settings correct, and then basically uploaded to the SD card, and that uploaded the system. But what this means is, like the Ender 3, I can actually upload the NC file or the G-code files to the CNC, and it will just quite happily print that. So it doesn't need any computer to actually do that. What's really cool about this one, where the CNCs don't, which I hope they do and later, is there's actually a web interface, and you can actually, instead of taking the SD card out, putting the SD card in all the time, you can actually put the application or the files, upload them to the SD card through the web interface, which is really, really cool. So this is some of the things that I've done modifications to. Right, so the DL35 version 2.1, which comes with an ESP32. What that basically means is it's a Wi-Fi card. It's got a huge amount more memory. It's got a lot of grunt, basically. The screen, now what I did is actually 3D printed a screen. It didn't come out that great, but I actually sort of modified the STL file and put a reset switch and a power switch. So if I just turn this off, and this is movable, so you can move it around, and that allows me to just turn the unit on, turn the unit off when I sort of really want to do it, which is really cool. So that's the actual web interface. You can control it, you can sort of go, you can actually move it and do all that stuff through the web interface, or you can use the website with the web page. Now, some of the modifications I've done, I actually put these sort of rollable limit switches on the machine. I had a problem with these. What was it? Sorry, I've lost it. These guys. Do not buy these for this DLC32. They just don't work. After a long time trying to figure out. You can either go for these, but you really got to create a circuit for them. My recommendation would actually just go to the maker base and buy the proper ones for the DLC32. It's just so much easier. But I didn't want to do that, so I put these in. So this is one at the back, and as you can see, on the Z-axis, and I 3D printed the Y-axis, so it actually goes onto the bar. So all these actually go onto the bar. I've made modifications to the STL file, so it just mounts in there, and yeah, it just stays there quite happily, and I connect them up to this motherboard. Alright, I'll just turn it around. So I didn't want to get it short circuited, so I put it into a box. So it may look a bit messy. I am planning to make a circuit board, but I didn't really. My CNC machine didn't have the ability at the time to actually create a board, so I just created my own. And what this does is it actually has, I put in lights on each one, and depending on sort of the frequency and the way it's done, it will actually trigger the lights to actually, as you can see, triggers the lights when the limit is actually connected, which is quite cool. So one good thing about that is I can actually tell whether they've been tripped or not. So they're all connected into there. Obviously it's two limit switches connecting into one, which isn't an easy process. If you're going to do that, my recommendation, if you're going to use these particular limit switches, which are pretty standard, follow the there's a feed which basically just says, make it an open connection. So basically it connects it through a serial connection. So basically what it means is it's an open circuit through both of the cables going to. So when you trigger the limit switch, it actually breaks the connection, and that's the best way of doing it. I have spent many hours trying to go, and what this does is, it's a bit hard to see, but there is actually an IC there. It's an optic coupler, so a lot of the noise and all that doesn't actually get transferred to the limit switches on the main board. This is the main board. As you can see, it's quite busy. And basically what it does, once it breaks the connection, the optic coupler will actually turn on the light, which means there's no feedback, and it just gets the connection through to the main board, and then it shorts it. I also did the same thing with the probe, because I had issues with getting the probe to work. So I just created 4 separate circuits, 3 for the limit switches and 1 for the probe, and it works beautifully. So yeah, that's the back of the screen. It's quite simple. I've also put in a little sort of stand there, so the cables, the new CNC drill that I'm going to get can actually go up there, and it's not going to cause any problems. Now, so this will be tidied up, obviously. I've only really just got it working properly. What I did also, I got sick of having problems with leveling the board and keeping it straight. So what I actually did was got 2 of the small ring binders from the tool shop. I actually drilled them out and put rivets in them, and then I actually screwed it to a normal board. A lot of the stuff I do is quite small, so this is ideal. There are some quite cool sort of ways of doing it for sort of making your own board and all that, but for me, I don't really need to do that. I just want a CNC machine, easy to do, and it just works. So yeah, that's pretty much all of it at this stage. Like and follow, and let me know what you think.